let's take a look at some other properties that you can do while you're working with layers. So I'm going to come up here and click on the photo layer on my layers panel. When I do so, it makes it active, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually select another layer with the photo layer. I'm going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to click on the letter layer right below it. You'll notice that both are selected now because it's highlighted in blue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link the two together. So if I make a change to one, it's automatically going to make a change to the other. So it's kind of like grouped. And what I'm going to do, because I have both selected, I'm going to come down here and click on, at the very bottom of the layers panel, there's a link layers button. It's the first one down there. I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice that it puts two little links on the right side. Indicates that it has been linked together. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up and I'm going to make these two images smaller, and when I do, it's going to do both at the same time. So I'm going to go up to the edit menu. I want to come down to free transform. Free transform allows us to scale an object, it allows us to rotate, skew, change the perspective. So I'm going to go and click on free transform. You'll notice when you put the free transform up and use that command, you'll see resizing handles around the selected area. I'm going to come to one of the diagonals. I'm going to hold down the shift key. When I keep the shift key held down, it's going to, when I resize, it's going to keep things proportional. If I don't hold down the shift key, then you'll get something that's skinny, wider, and typically you want to keep it proportional. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm just going to drag upwards, and notice what's happening here. It's automatically resizing both the letter and the photograph. So if you want to make it a little bit larger, I can do so, and I'll drag outward. If you're going to make it smaller, you're going to drag inward. Now you have to press your enter key to accept the transformation. So if you don't, it's waiting for you to do other transformations. So you have to accept it before you move on. So I'm going to press my enter key. And then I'll leave it right up here for right now. I can go in and I can move it around. If I move it around, see, I'm moving both at one time because they're linked. Now I want to come over and click on the paper texture. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a new blank layer. So I'm going to add something right above it. And I'm going to do that by coming down on my layers panel, and I'm going to click on the new layer icon, which will say create a new layer if you leave your mouse over top of it. And when I do that, notice it puts an active layer right above it, and it names as layer 1. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to rename it. I'm just going to type in the word gradient because I'm going to add a little color on this layer. Don't forget, when you're renaming, press your enter key to accept. Then I want to come over here to the gradient tool on my toolbox. The gradient tool, it basically is a rectangle, and it shows from going from black to white. And then what I want to do here is I want to go up here to my options bar, and I'm going to make a couple changes here. And you remember, we talked about this in a different video, that every tool has its own set of options. So when you change, if you need to change a set of properties, you go up to the options bar. Here I have a choice of gradients. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the second one that will go from the foreground color to transparency. Foreground color to transparency. So it's going to look what my foreground color is, and right now it happens to be green, and then it's just going to blend. It's not going to go from one color to another. It's actually going to go from one color to transparency, which basically lets you see most of the background show through. And what I'm going to do here is, since I already have green as the color, I could go over to the swatches panel and choose whatever color I want. And again, if you don't have the swatches panel open, you can find it under the window menu down near the swatches. But there's a whole different list of colors that you can click on. You just take your mouse and you click, and it'll choose that color. Now I'm just going to take with my gradient tool selected, What I'm going to do here is I'm going to start at the bottom right hand corner. I'm going to drag straight up to the left. And you can see how it adds the color, the green down here at the bottom. Now I don't like it being so solid here, so I want it to blend in with the background that I have right now. So that means I probably want to make it a little more transparent. So I'm going to come up here to opacity and change the transparency to 75%. Notice how you're seeing more of the background come through. And if you wanted to, you can experiment with the blending mode. The blending mode will bring out more of the details and highlights of the background. So what I'm going to do is I'll come over to normal and I'll change it to multiply. See how the details come out, the shadows, the highlights?